Every year, packages arrive at California state parks filled with rusty nails, glass shards, and even old shoes. Each one comes with a desperate letter begging forgiveness and claiming that stealing these worthless items brought terrible luck, broken marriages, and mysterious accidents. Welcome to Bodie, the ghost town with a curse so powerful that people mail back dirt just to make it stop. High in the Sierra Nevada, at over 8,000 feet elevation, sits what many consider the most authentically preserved ghost town in America. But Bodie isn't just famous for its perfectly preserved buildings or its violent Wild West history. It's become legendary for something far more unsettling, a curse that supposedly follows anyone who dares to take even a pebble from this abandoned town. Today we're diving into the dark history of Bodie and uncovering the truth behind a legend that's been terrifying visitors for decades. The rise of Sin City in the Sierra. The story starts in the late 1850s when a prospector named W.S. Bodie found gold in these desolate hills. Bodie himself died in a blizzard in 1859, but his discovery would create one of the wildest boom towns in the West. The town's name changed from Bodie to Bodie, and in 1875, everything exploded when miners hit a massive ore vein. By 1879, Bodie had transformed from a few dozen people into a legitimate city with up to 10,000 residents and about 2,000 buildings. But this wasn't your typical frontier town. Bodie was absolutely lawless. We're talking over 60 saloons and gambling halls lining Main Street, with brothels and opium dens operating openly in what they called the Vice District. Murders and shootouts were nightly entertainment. Stagecoach robberies were so common that they barely made the newspaper. Every other building on the mile-long Main Street was either a saloon or some kind of gambling den. Bodie earned a reputation that rivaled Deadwood and Tombstone for pure, unfiltered, Wild West chaos. The money flowing through this place was insane. Millions of dollars in gold and silver ore came out of these mountains. Newspapers bragged that Bodie would become the next Comstock lode. For a few years, it genuinely seemed unstoppable, when the boom went bust. But like all mining towns, Bodie's party couldn't last forever. By 1880, miners were already chasing newer strikes elsewhere. The town that had exploded overnight started its slow death spiral. Two massive fires in 1892 and 1932 destroyed huge sections of the town. The mines gradually played out, and by 1915, just 35 years after the boom, newspapers were already calling Bodie a ghost town. World War II delivered the final blow when the last mine shut down in 1942 and the post office closed for good. By 1950, the official population was zero. Bodie had become exactly what it looks like today, a collection of weathered wooden buildings slowly decaying in the harsh mountain climate. But that's when the real story begins, because Dead Bodie was about to become more famous than Living Bodie ever was. The birth of a curse. Here's where things get interesting. When Bodie became a state park in 1962, they had a problem. Tourists kept stealing souvenirs. People would grab nails, pieces of wood, bottles, basically anything they could carry. The park was getting picked clean, so a clever park ranger came up with a solution. He started spreading rumors about a curse. The story went like this. The restless spirits of Bodie's violent past guard the town's treasures, and anyone who steals even the smallest item will be punished with terrible luck. It was complete fiction, invented purely to stop theft, but it worked way too well. Pause for a second. Do you think it's okay to lie to tourists to protect a historical site? Or should they have found another way? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this gets pretty controversial. Within a few years, people started mailing things back. Then the letters began arriving. Heartfelt confessions from tourists describing the horrible luck they'd experienced after taking something from Bodie. Car accidents, job losses, relationship problems, mysterious illnesses, all blamed on a rock or nail they'd pocketed. One person wrote that a single rock from Bodie caused 2 marriages in their family to fall apart. Others returned items they'd bought at souvenir shops, too terrified to keep anything connected to the town. The park now receives dozens of these curse letters every year, along with returned artifacts. They've had to create an entire system for cataloging stolen items that get mailed back. The rangers accidentally created way more work for themselves by inventing this curse. The ghost stories take hold. Once the curse legend took root, other supernatural stories started growing around Bodie like wildflowers. And honestly, some of these tales are genuinely creepy, whether you believe them or not. There's the story of Bodie's last residence, a miner who murdered his wife in a drunken rage, only to be killed by 3 friends seeking revenge. According to local folklore, the dead man's ghost haunted his killers, shaking his fist at them from beyond the grave. All 3 allegedly died of mysterious illnesses soon after. Then there's the house haunted by an elderly Chinese maid. Visitors report waking up paralyzed in bed, feeling a heavy presence in the room, or smelling perfume that shouldn't exist in a building abandoned for decades. The cemetery has its own legend. The Angel of Bodie, supposedly the ghost of a little girl named Evelyn Myers, who died in an 1897 accident. Children visiting her grave sometimes report seeing a faint figure or hearing distant laughter echoing through the headstones. But the stories that really get to people are the everyday hauntings. Tourists and park staff report hearing music and laughter coming from empty saloon buildings, as if the Wild West parties are still going on inside. Others smell cooking aromas wafting from abandoned houses or hear the creak of swinging doors that haven't moved in 80 years. Why the legend lives on. Here's what's fascinating. Even though park officials now admit the curse was made up, people keep believing in it. The letters keep coming, the returned artifacts pile up, and visitors still whisper about taking anything from Bodie. Maybe it's because Bodie feels genuinely haunted. Unlike other ghost towns that have been turned into tourist attractions with gift shops and staged gunfights, Bodie is preserved in what they call arrested decay. Nothing gets restored. Buildings are just stabilized enough to keep standing while looking exactly like they did when people abandoned them. Walking through Bodie at sunset, when the wooden facades glow orange against the darkening sky and the wind howls across the empty plains, it's easy to understand why people's imaginations run wild. The isolation adds to the effect. You're 15 miles from the nearest town, surrounded by nothing but sagebrush and mountains. The interiors of many buildings are still full of original artifacts, dusty bottles on bar counters, children's toys in schoolrooms, newspapers from the 1930s still sitting on desks. It genuinely feels like people just walked away yesterday and might come back any minute. The power of belief. What makes Bodie's curse so compelling isn't whether it's real. It's how real it feels to the people experiencing it. When someone takes a rock from Bodie and then gets in a car accident the next week, their brain makes the connection, whether it makes logical sense or not. The human mind is incredibly good at finding patterns, even where none exist. Add that to the genuinely eerie atmosphere of Bodie, the weight of its violent history, and the power of suggestion from the curse stories, and you've got a perfect recipe for supernatural belief. The park rangers who invented the curse probably never imagined it would take on a life of its own. They created a piece of modern folklore that's now as much a part of Bodie's identity as its Wild West past. Today, about 200,000 people visit Bodie every year. Most leave with nothing but photos and memories. But for those who take something, whether they believe in the curse or not, Bodie has a way of staying with them long after they've driven away. So there you have it. The story of how a made-up curse became more famous than the actual Wild West town it was meant to protect. Whether you believe in supernatural forces or just the power of human psychology, Bodie's curse shows how legends can take on a life of their own. The real question is, would you risk it? If you found yourself walking through those empty streets, would you be tempted to pocket just one small souvenir? And if you did, would every bit of bad luck afterward make you wonder if Bodie's spirits were getting their revenge? Speaking of mysterious places with dark histories, I've got another video ready that explores some truly spine-chilling locations across the West. Check it out right here. The stories I uncovered will definitely keep you up at night.